Hi, my name is Sadekul Hussain and welcome to my video on building analytic applications with Amazon Athena. In this short video, I'll talk about what's Amazon Athena and why it's a great data analysis tool. After that, we will do a simple data analysis with Athena. Before I begin, let me clarify a few points. This video assumes you have basic knowledge of Amazon Web Service. It also assumes you know how to write SQL queries and also have some idea about the Hadoop ecosystem. If you're not familiar with any of these technologies, don't worry, you still can watch. Hopefully, at the end of this video, you'll find enough interest to learn about AWS, SQL, Hadoop, and Athena. So let's see what Amazon Athena is. Amazon Athena is a serverless interactive query tool for running ad hoc or pre-created ANSI SQL queries on data stored in Amazon S3. That's a mouthful. To understand, let's first focus on the interactive query tool part. Most relational databases like MySQL or PostgreSQL ships with query tools like MySQL Workbench, pgadmin, or PSQL. These tools are interactive, which means you can write and run queries from these tools' editors or command prompts. Amazon Athena is exactly like that, except it doesn't communicate with a database server. It fetches data from one or more files stored in Amazon S3. In other words, you don't have to pay for or manage any database server. You may think we already run interactive queries on our Hadoop system. We use Hive to run those queries. What's the difference? Technically, there is not much difference here. Behind the scene, Athena uses the Apache Hive tables to store a data files schema. To run queries, Athena uses Apache Presto. Instead of HDFS, Athena uses S3 as a file system. But what sets Athena apart is it's serverless. With Athena, you don't have to spin up any cluster at all. You just write and run your queries. That's a big saving in time and money. For DBAs and infrastructure engineers, this means less work as well. Because Athena is serverless, there is no reason to design and set up VPCs, choose the correct instance types, install software, apply patching, or monitor capacity. There is no database backup to worry about and no licensing fees to pay. The only money you pay depends on the amount of data your query fetches. The second advantage Athena offers is ease of use. Anyone who knows SQL can run queries on S3 data as long as the user has access to Athena and the S3 bucket. You can use the Athena console to write your queries, but that's not even necessary. There's both a JDBC and an ODBC driver available, so you can connect most SQL tools to Athena. Athena supports complex structures like arrays and window functions as well as nested queries and joins. This makes life very easy if you're, say, a data analyst and you just want to have a quick look at the data without setting up a database. Your data can be coming from server logs, streamed from the IoT devices, or even exported from other relational databases or big data sources. Using Athena, you can run your own analysis in no time, and when you are happy with your query, you can save it to run again later. The third big advantage of Athena is it can help reduce performance bottlenecks. For example, business users could be running reports from the same tables ETL tools are locking down for data loading. This can cause performance problems. If you can offload the data into S3, you are freeing up the database for write operations. You can use tools like Tableau to connect to Athena and run your dashboards from there. Speaking of dashboards, Athena natively integrates with AWS QuickSight, which is Amazon's data visualization tool. With QuickSight, you can create reports directly from Athena tables. Okay, let's have a quick demonstration. Here we have a CSV file downloaded from the openflights.org website. This is a non-profit site and offers a dataset of all airports, train stations, and ferry terminals around the world. The fields of this file include name of the port, city, country, location, the type of port, time zone, etc. The data is in CSV format and it doesn't have any header row. We have copied this file to an S3 bucket and we'd like to query this file with ANSI SQL. To run queries, we have to first define a schema for the data. The schema is just a way to describe fields in the file. The way we define a schema is just like creating a regular table in a database, only in this case, we're not loading any data into a table. In Athena, we have to run Hive queries to create tables. Hive uses its own flavor of SQL called HiveQL. Here, we are running a HiveQL script from the Athena interface. You can see it's fairly similar to a regular create table command. The table we are creating is called airports underscore extended. We are saying its definition is external and the data is in OpenCSV format. We are also telling Athena where to find the data. The table will be created in Athena's built-in default database. We could create a new database for the table, but leaving it simple for now. Once the table is created, Athena will let us know that query was successful. We can now see the table in the left side of the console. If we expand it, we can see the fields. Now that we have a schema for the airports data, let's run a query. Say we want to find the top 20 countries with airports. To find out, we can click on the New Query button. This will clear the query window and we can start writing our query. However, we don't want to do this. Remember, I said you don't have to run queries from the Athena console. That would be the case if your AWS administrators are security conscious. They may not give you direct access to the web console. Instead, they may give you a set of API keys to connect to Athena. To connect with the API keys, first you have to download the Athena JDBC driver from the AWS website. Here, we have already downloaded this file and copied it to a directory in our local computer. We will be using a very popular database client tool called DB Visualizer. It has a community edition and it's fairly simple to install. To use DB Visualizer for connecting to Athena, we have to first install the driver. To install, select Driver Manager from the Tools menu. This opens up a dialog box where we can fill in the details. Here, we have given a name for the Athena driver and chose the path to the jar file we downloaded before. DB Visualizer automatically detects the Java class for the driver. Next, we specify the database URL format. Athena URLs look similar to other JDBC URLs. The only compulsory parameter after the URL is the S3 staging directory. The staging directory is the folder in the S3 bucket where Athena stores the query output. In our case, we have set it to a folder under our Athena Learning bucket. Once done, we can close the dialog box and we're all set. We will now create a new connection for our Athena table. From the Tools menu, we choose Connection Wizard. We give a name for our Athena connection. We're calling it Airports here. Next, we choose the Athena driver from the Database Driver drop-down list. Next, we put our database URL. Finally, we put our API keys in the database user ID and database password fields. The database user ID is the AWS access key ID and password is the secret access key we are using. Once we click the Finish button, DB Visualizer will create the connection and test it. If successful, we'll see a note called AWS Data Catalog under the Airports connection. If we now expand AWS Data Catalog, we will see there is a folder for each Athena database in our AWS account. We will expand the default database and then expand the external tables node under it. We can now see the airports underscore extended table we created before. Select New SQL Commander from the SQL Commander menu. This will open a new query window. You can see how DB Visualizer is treating AWS Data Catalog as a database and the default database as a schema under it. Now let's write our query. You can see it's a fairly simple SQL statement. We want to list the total number of airports in each country and we want to list these numbers in descending order. We also want to return the top 20 rows. Once done, we can click on the Execute button. And there we have the results. We can see the country with most airports is the US, followed by Canada and Australia. This was a simple demonstration, but you can see how easy it is to run meaningful analysis with a quick setup. We were using a CSV file here, but Athena also supports a number of other formats like JSON, Avro, ORC, or Parquet. So this is it. In this video, we had a basic introduction to Amazon Athena. We had a quick demonstration of analyzing a CSV flat file. We also discussed the benefits of using Athena as an analytics tool. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.